Top of the evening, everybody. We are back for Monday Night Smacko. We're grateful that you're here with us tonight, and I am here with my dear buddy Leslie Millwee. Leslie is on the clock. How are you, my friend? It's been a while. I know the last time we...
How are you?
Well, the last time we tried to do this, you had bronchitis, and I can only imagine how you sounded, so we wanted to make sure that you got here tonight in good shape. It's good to see you, good to hear from you, and looking forward to maybe seeing you in May, and we'll talk about that personally later.
Absolutely.
But listen, it's good to see you tonight. Tell us what's going on with you. Let me just start out. What a month and a half, 50 days in, and
oh my goodness.
What a 50 days of President Trump, right?
I'm in heaven. I'm a little frustrated at some of these Republicans that are coming back and saying, gosh, the economy's not better. And I just have to shake my head and say 6 weeks in, we're supposed to have 3% interest rates, right?
Right.
I think it's ludicrous that they do that, but I have been so pleased with all the cabinet picks. I mean, I think he just put so many great people in the right place that he truly hit the ground running, which I think has made such a huge difference. I think everyone's doing their job. I'm a little disappointed in Pam Bondi in the fact that I think when she put the Epstein thing out there that nothing really happened, and I think that's kind of had some blowback. But outside of that, I think everyone's done pretty well. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to ask you about the Epstein thing. Why do you think that there was not anything done? You think it was a bunch of nothing burger and people thought that it was going to be more? You there? Leslie?
I have lost you.
Yeah, are you there now? Can you hear me?
Okay, I am now. Yeah.
What I was going to say is the Epstein thing, do you think it was because it was a nothing burger and maybe perhaps that people were expecting a little bit more than it actually was in the files? We're having some issues on our phone tonight. Leslie, can you hear me, buddy? Hey, we were going so good there, and now we're back. Let me see if we can get her back on the phone here. Hang on just a second. Unless her phone died. Let's see here. Leslie?
Hello, you've reached Leslie.
Well, her phone may have died, so we'll wait for Leslie to come back. We're glad to see everybody tonight. I have got the USA in honor, even though we got beat, in honor of the USA hockey team. And we will wait for Leslie to come back. We're grateful that you're here tonight. If you've got a question or you've got something that you want to share with us tonight, question-wise, go ahead and do it. I do want to, while I'm waiting on Leslie to come back, I want to play a clip. We played this today on our K-Star radio show. This is Van Jones last night, and this will be on our Newswire page. Let me pull this in. And you got to laugh at this. This is hilarious. This is Van Jones describing the situation about the Democrat Party. This is not my words. This is Van Jones' word. Here's Leslie right here.
Leslie Millwee.
Here she is. Let's see if this will do better. Hang on just a second. Leslie Millwee, are you back there?
Yes, I'm
there we
back.
go.
Hopefully.
Yep. Sorry about that. We lost you. I was asking about the Epstein files. What do you think made the people so disappointed with the Epstein situation in Bondi? We are having a booger of a time with this somebody's connection. It was like this the other night with somebody. Hang on just a second, folks. We're going to get her on here one way or the other. Hang on just a second.
Maybe the third time's the charm.
Maybe the third time's the charm. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The Epstein thing. What do you think made it so disappointing with Pam Bondi?
Oh, I lost you.
What was the thinking with Pam Bondi? Well, we lost her again. Well, all right, we're going to try one more time, and let's see if this works.
Okay.
All right, let's try this. Hey, I'm going to put you. I'm not going to put you on the camera, but I'm going to video you, and maybe if we do this, maybe the sound will be okay. Can you accept that I'm sending you? Bear with us, folks.
I would have dialed up if I'd known.
Okay. No worries. Can you hear me now? Leslie, can you hear me? Leslie? Well, we will get either Leslie back tonight or tomorrow night. We'll fix this. We've got to figure out what's going on. I've had all sorts of network issues here today. The X network was down. Our apologies for that tonight. But I do want to I want to play this clip from Van Jones tonight, and then we're going to mainly do your questions tonight on this late show. Listen to Van
and
Jones.
Then just lastly, Van, in terms of Democrats and where they go from here, this last week we did see them some people try to protest during the president's address, and then House leadership getting onto them, other Democrats calling them out. They still seem to be wandering around trying to figure this out. What's your take?
Can we ask another question? Do I have to talk about my own party? can we talk about Ukraine or something? No. Look, man, we're screwed. I mean, we don't know. No, Democrats don't know what to do. This is a nightmare. Somebody like Donald Trump, we thought we'd at least have Hakeem Jeffries in the speaker's chair to hold him back if we didn't have Kamala in there to do the right thing. Listen, the Democratic Party is going through a massive set of internal crises. You have a party that got trapped two ways. One, defending a broken status quo that nobody likes because they thought that Donald Trump was going to make it worse. But when you're defending a status quo, you're going to lose. And then offending most people in the country, calling everybody sexist and racist and transphobic and every other name, and then saying, please follow us. That's not a good strategy, folks. Defending a broken status quo and offending most of the country turns out is not as popular as my party thought it was going to be. And so it's going to take a while for people to get it figured out. I don't like talking about this. I'd rather be beat up. Can you give me something I can beat up Shermichael about? I don't want to talk about my own party.
I know. It's a tough question. Shermichael.
All righty, that was Van Jones basically saying the Democrat Party is screwed. And this is out of Breitbart tonight. He says, this is a nightmare, somebody like Donald Trump. We thought we'd at least have Hakeem Jeffries in the speaker's chair to hold him back if we didn't have Kamala in there to do the right thing. Are you joking me, Van? I mean, really, seriously, are you joking me? I mean, come on. Kamala doing the right thing? That's how messed up. Yeah, they are screwed. The Democrat Party is screwed. They're screwed in the head. And that's the mentality that they think that the reason that the party has got a 21% approval rating is that they don't have the right leadership. In other words, Kamala's not in there, and Hakeem Jeffries is not, I guess, closing the government down, which is a very good possibility that that's going to happen. But anyway, with Leslie, before she left, we were talking about the Epstein list, and anyway, and folks, keep your comments on the show. Give Pam Bondi and her others some time and patience. Darlene, I think I agree with you. I think what Leslie was trying to say, it's not about having patience about this with Pam Bondi. I got all the patience in the world, but I think that what happened, what she's referring to, is that it was oversold, like a lot of these things are. And I think that it was, she went on Hannity and said, we're going to release everything, and that didn't happen. And it's best sometimes. I don't have any problem giving her patience, but when they oversell it and then they don't deliver, that's not a patience issue. That's somebody's messing it up. And I think that with this such a sensitive topic, and there's so many redactions in it, and that's the other issue. There's so many redactions. Anybody that gets this right now, we're still not getting the whole picture of what happened. And we were promised 100% transparency. To me, release the whole thing, screw the redactions, and let's just let the chips fall where they may. And Pam's not doing that, at least right now. Now, she might later, I don't know. And her and Patel are working on getting some of these documents. They blame the FBI for it at first. So I got no problem with having patience. But when you promise that you're going to give us 100% transparency, give us 100% transparency. That's all I'm saying, and I think that's really all Leslie's saying. We're going to have Leslie on. I just texted her. We're going to bring her back tomorrow night, and we're going to do Zoom. We're having some network issues here. I've had a call today, and somebody was not able to get through, so I don't know what's going on with the ATT network tonight, but that's all right. We'll be back. And Darlene, I'm not going to disagree with you that the Biden administration left a mess. There are traitors in every department of the government. She has to be strategic. I understand that, and I'm not arguing with you about this, but I'm telling you, that's not an excuse. That's not a what do you call it, a breaking news alert. We know that the Biden administration left a mess. We know there's traitors in the government. And this strategic crap, I don't mind her being strategic, but at least don't promise people, you're missing our point. Don't promise people you're going to give 100% transparency when you throw something out there that's redacted to the point that there's really no even sense in releasing it. We've been waiting for the Epstein file since 2019. Now, we were never going to get it from the Joe Biden administration. We were never going to get it from Merrick Garland. We were never going to get it. At least we're not upset with Pam Bondi. She just said, all Leslie said, she was a little disappointed with how it was rolled out. I'm disappointed with how it's rolled out. It's not the biggest issue on my plate tonight. But since you brought it up in the chat, I'll finish it right here. She didn't need to promise a big push, and she did, without producing it and without backing it up with actions. This is what drives people crazy with government people. I don't care who they are, Republican or Democrat. And I've seen the fallout this week because people are going nuts over the Epstein list. And folks, we got far bigger fish to fry than that. We got far bigger fish to fry. But anyway, that's just my take. That's just my take. Now, let's see here. Gateway Pundit tonight, there's a couple of stories I want to talk about. By the way, folks, this is another one. We really talked about this, and I hate that we don't have Leslie on tonight, but it's just one of those things. But I do want to talk about this story as well. This is, to me, a much bigger story than the Jeffrey Epstein list. And this is coming out of Syria tonight. Over 1,000 supported Islamists, which basically 1,000 Christians, Druze, and Alawites have been slaughtered, and mainly about 758 of this number are Christians. As the very Islamic terrorists, you can see that right there. We played a video. We listened to the sounds this afternoon about this. Here's the video. Watch what they're doing. This is what they were doing to Christians. This is a Christian couple or Christian family in the car with these Islamic terrorists. We're going to actually read the story here in a minute. Watch this. And that is the jihadists there They were basically slapping them around and doing all sorts of things. Basically, right now, there have been about 745 civilians and 125 members of the Syrian security forces and 148 fighters loyal to former President Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. Other reports have it as high as 4,000 that are dead. And this is the Gateway Pundit story tonight. The worst fears over the safety of Syria's non-Islamic population have come terribly true, as the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham HTS militia unleashed ethnic cleansing on non-Muslims, killing over 1,000. This is just since Friday. The failed Obama-Biden regime has pushed for regime change and supported Islamic militias in Syria since 2011, and most recently dropped a $10 million bounty on the head of radical Islamic HTS leader Abu Muhammad al-Jilani. Now, let me just say something about this, and we've talked about this before. When Bashar al-Assad, and look, Bashar al-Assad, folks, al-Assad was not, he's just like Putin. He's not a choir boy. He did a lot of terrible things to his own people. It was the only time that Trump actually had a military excursion into a foreign country was Syria. And this was done in 2018 when he told Assad, or 2017, he told Assad not to be using chemical weapons on his people. Well, Assad basically stuck his middle finger up and said, I'll do what I want to do. And he did it, and Trump responded accordingly. We didn't put boots on the ground, but Bashar al-Assad got the message because he stopped doing it, and you didn't hear no more out of him for the entire Trump presidency. And you really had not heard a lot out of him for the most part during the Biden regime. But thanks to our lovely Biden regime government and the Obamas, they basically propped up al-Jilani and started doing a coup, and basically cost, in December, Bashar al-Assad was forced out of power, and he went basically going to Russia and the world and the media. Oh, Joe Biden was such a brave man. Our administration was so smart getting rid of this terrible dictator, and he's gone now, and Syria is going to be free, and Syria is going to have all this lovely, lovely utopia. Sounds sort of familiar what's going on here in America. But what's happened is this. Bashar al-Assad, with all of his problems, did one thing that the media never did report about, except for folks like us and other conservative media. He protected Christians. He protected non-Muslims. He protected minorities because he himself was part of a minority of Islam. He, I think, was Sunni, and the predominant branch of Islam in the Middle East is Shiite. The Iranians are Shiites. Saddam Hussein was a Sunni. And this is why Iran and Iraq always butted heads. They butted heads in the late 80s, and then they basically, the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing. They all hated Israel, so it didn't matter. Look, Syria was no friend of Israel, but Assad had basically did everything he could within his country, even though there were other issues with him. He did at least that right. He protected Christians. The government that's in place tonight is full-blown Islamic jihadist. And they're not going to protect Christians. There's going to be a great slaughter. This is ISIS-related. It is Al-Qaeda-related. And I hope President Trump will address this. It is the same basic, when you get down to it, the same issue that the Israelis face with Hamas and Hezbollah tonight. Israel don't need any more enemies. She's already got enough. And it's not like that she's got friends in the Middle East anyway. Even the countries that are not overtly attacking her, they're not her friends. Jordan is not her friend. Egypt is not her friend. The Saudis are not her friend. None of these nations are her friend. And Syria, if you remember, just a few months ago, it was probably January, right after all this happened, they started offering Israel this peace branch and said, hey, we want to have peace with you. We want to have a truce with you. Well, what you see happening tonight is a pretty good indication there ain't no peace coming between Syria and anybody. And this needs to be addressed in the strictest, strongest of ways by our government. We need to stand up, because if they don't, you're going to have a very similar situation that happened in the Middle East when ISIS went after Christians and non-Muslims during the Obama years. And I look for President Trump to address this soon. I hope he does. But that, to me, is a much more important story to follow. Very serious situation going on in Syria tonight. Thousands, perhaps up to 4,000, as some reports indicate, have been killed by these jihadists. What's the bottom line? What's the moral of this story? I'll tell you what the moral of this story is. Islam never went away. All Islam has done is repackaged itself, and basically the media has went along with it. The media always goes along with it. They wouldn't dare tell you the story. You're not going to find this story on regular headlines, no more than you're going to find the story of the cartels dismembering those 9 kids in Mexico, and some of them were young adults. I say kids, but I'm at my age, everybody in their 20s and 30s are kids to me. But the cartels carved these kids up, cut their hands off, cut their heads off, sending a message to our nation. And we had Victor Alba on Thursday night, and we talked about this in detail. Well, folks, the jihadists are sending a message again to the world that we've declared war on Christianity. The fact of the matter is they've never stopped declaring war on Christianity. The war has never not been declared. They've just repackaged it. I'll say this tonight, folks. Israel's enemies are our enemies. Israel's enemies are our enemies. The people that want to kill Israel want to kill America. The people that are doing this over there, if they could eradicate every Christian on the face of the earth, they would. If they could eradicate every Jew on the face of the earth, they would. This Purim, we're talking about the prophetic week. Purim is a feast day that celebrates the victory over Haman, who was one really of the world's first anti-Semites. When you get down to it, he was the first Hitler of all history, other than Pharaoh. I guess Pharaoh could be sort of put as the first. Haman may have been the second. Israel has always had dictators and had leaders of world nations that have sought her destruction. And this goes way, way, way back. Well, that spirit, and you can read this in Ezekiel chapter 35. The Bible talks about an ancient hatred of the sons of Esau against the sons of Jacob. And I can tell you tonight, folks, that ancient hatred has not gone anywhere. We're going to talk about this tomorrow in K-Star in our afternoon program a little bit more in detail. We sort of talked about it in the second half hour yesterday or today, but we're going to get into it more tomorrow because this is a prophetic week. These blood moons, this Purim incident, folks, this earth is shaking. You got wildfires in Long Island that have been contained finally. You have wildfires in South Dakota. We smelt smoke here again last night. I'm concerned it's been very dry here in these hills, and thank God we got some rain coming this weekend, but it's been a very wild first start of the year with weather. It has just been a wild start to the year. And I've got a feeling that this spring storm season is going to be one of the worst we've ever had. I've just got a gut that we could have major outbreaks of storms, tornadoes, hail, things of that nature. More of this is coming, flooding. But we are in prophetic times. We are in a prophetic week. And to see Israel in travail tonight, because this affects Israel, what's going on in Syria. But let me tell you something, Americans, it affects you and affects me. Because this is coming to our shore if we don't address it properly. That's just a thought. That's just a thought. And anyway, we'll take your thoughts on that in a minute. Anyway, Geraldine, you're right. I can't imagine the fear and the pain that these Christians have been enduring. I think a lot of people are sick. Geraldine, you know what's so sad to me, though? People with moral clarity are sick over it, but there's others that see this. They don't care. There's religious voices that this is not a big deal to them. They would rather chase these other things down. And I'm telling you, this is an important story to me tonight. This is probably the most important story of the week right now so far. Now, there are other news headlines that we'll talk about tonight, a few things. And again, I didn't really come prepared. I was hoping to be able to talk to Leslie, so we'll have to spare you the memes and so forth that we had. But anyway, Elaine, you're right. Absolutely. Elaine Willard says America always makes this mistake when it comes to the Middle East, and it does. It's made this mistake over and over. It's trusted the Islamic nations to do the right thing by Israel and trusted the Islamic nations to do the right thing by Christians. They're never going to do the right thing. They're never going to do the right thing. They hate America. They hate Israel. And why we have gotten this idea, and look, this is my opinion. I know that Saudi Arabia and Jordan and even Egypt to a degree, they're called moderate Arab nations. There's no such thing in Islam as a moderate American nation or Arab nation when you get down to it. Islam is a religion of the sword. That's what it's really called, the sword of Islam. It means, the word Islam itself means submission. You either submit to the sword of Islam or that sword is taken, and beheading is the way of life for the Islamic caliphates that seek to eradicate those that don't fall under its submission and its orders. If the Saudis, if the Jordanians, that is under the control of Islam tonight, if they followed the book, which is not even remotely a godly book, the Quran is nothing but full of violence and threats and kill the infidels, kill the Jews. There's not one mention, not the word love is not mentioned one time in the entirety of the Quran, not one time. Look, we don't hate Muslims. We don't hate Muslims. We pray for Muslims. Folks, we've got the possibility. We're working on it right now. We're going to get the finances worked out, and I believe God's going to help us do it. We're going on the radio in Bethlehem, Israel, hopefully before this spring is out. And our focus is going to be to the Muslim faith. And we're going to be preaching the gospel on Sunday mornings. And I'm excited as I can be about it. But the thing about it is this. While we don't hate Muslims, there are many Muslims that hate America. There are many Muslims. And the faith of Islam is a religion that hates anybody that does not bow down to its sword. And it seeks its destruction. But there's a special hatred for Esau's lineage toward his cousin Jacob. And remember, all these sects over there and all of these tribes are nothing but cousins when you get down to it. They have the same daddy. They have the same father. His name is Abraham. One of his sons, Ishmael, took the Arabs and he became the head of the Arab world, and Isaac took the blessing of God with him and became the lineage of Jacob. He was Jacob's daddy, and Jacob became Israel, and those 12 boys became the 12 tribes of Israel. We don't hate the Muslims. I have nothing but love in my heart for them, and I pray that they repent. I pray that they come back to God. I do. I pray that God, there's a great revival going on in some parts of the Middle East tonight, but that hatred has not gone anywhere. So when I'm saying these things, we're not saying it out of anger or judgment toward anybody, but we need to be aware that that's not how it's reciprocated. They just cut your head off as lick at you, these jihadists. And you saw how they treated these Christians. They were slapping them around. There's no telling what happened to those Christians in that band. Very similar to what's no telling what happened to these Israeli hostages and the people that endured October the 7th of 23. I'm still waiting to hear somebody in the prophetic community, all these so-called prophets, decry the violence of Hamas. Hadn't heard a word about that, have you? No, sure haven't. Hadn't heard a word about the violence of these Syrians against the Christians tonight, have you? Nope, hadn't heard a word. No, we're too busy with our nonsense to be concerned about things that really matter. That's just a thought tonight. That's just a thought tonight. That is just a thought tonight. Thank you, Bear. It is 100%. That's 100% correct, is it not? It is correct. A couple of other news stories tonight, and then I'm going to take your questions. If you got a question, folks, put it in the house. I don't mind talking with you tonight. If you can agree or whatever. Let's see here. Let's a couple of stories tonight. I think this was what Wayne, you were talking about, and we'll pull this story into our newswire tonight. It is troubling, and we're not sure what's happening, but Breitbart is reporting this tonight that info journalist Wars Jamie White has been murdered in Austin, Texas, just before midnight Sunday night. Alex Jones called White a one-of-a-kind man who poured his devotion into anything he did. Police officers responded to a shoot-stab hotshot call at an apartment complex on Douglas Street in Austin. And there's the story. We'll put this up in the Telegram room tonight. You can read it. And very troubling situation. By the way, Tulsi Gabbard tonight, I want to do this story too. This is out of the Gateway Pundit. This is breaking. This is this afternoon. And we'll put this up. This is intriguing. We'll have more to say about this week. Did you hear about this? She has revoked the security clearances of 51 spies who lied. Blinken, Letitia James, and deep state lawyers. Daily Brief no longer provided to Biden. And Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard revoked security clearances from the 51 spies who lied, several Biden-era officials, and deep state lawyers. Joe Biden is also no longer receiving his daily brief. Last month, President Trump stripped the security clearances of at least 8 corrupt antagonists who worked for Biden and targeted him for ruin. Tulsi revoked 51 others. Former Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, former National Advisor Jake Sullivan, New York Attorney General Letitia James, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, Biden's Deputy AG Lisa Monaco, corrupt prosecutor Andrew Wiseman, deep state lawyer Mark Zide, and Norm Eisen, the man behind all the lawfare against Trump. On Monday, Tulsi Gabbard said that on Trump's order, she had revoked all of their security clearances. There's the tweet, and she's naming them all. And this was basically the group that was signing off on the Hunter Biden disinformation letter. They claimed that they did not believe that the laptop was basically legit. They claimed it was Russian disinformation. And you can see this is the cover of the New York Post. And boy, they got a lot on there, don't they? And there's all the liars. And we've got this story on our Telegram page. And boy, there's some names. Leon Podesta's on there. James Clapper, John Brennan, Ronald Marks, Chris Sabus, Michael Morrell, Cynthia Strand, several of them, and the intelligence experts who falsely discredited the Biden laptop and still won't say sorry. Well, they're not going to have to worry about it anymore because they will not be getting any more security things, and no more security clearances from the federal government. And the quote from the New York Post is New York Attorney General Letitia James and District Attorney Bragg joined the new group of 8 Democrat folks Trump plans to punish by revoking any access to classified information and barring their entry to federal facilities. And the president said they will all be given exactly the same punishment as Biden and the Dirty 51 is part of the administration's vow to hold government officials accountable for actions he regards as election interference or the mishandling of classified information. And that's from Christina Lalea from Gateway Pundit tonight. So very interesting stuff, and we'll be following these stories this week and so forth. Let's see here. Couple of other things, and we're going to take your questions here. Here is the X suffered a massive cyber attack this afternoon. I know some of you couldn't get on. We thought someone had hacked into our account, but Musk wrote, this was as of this evening around, it was tonight, but there is still and was a massive cyber attack against X, and there it is right there. He did this afternoon around 1:25, and the Doge designer first protest against Doge. Telsa stores were attacked. Now X is down. I wouldn't rule out the possibility that the downtime is the result of an attack on X, and I wouldn't either. There's no telling what's going on there. But it is back up for the most part. There's maybe a few issues there, but very serious stuff going on there and so forth. By the way, this is interesting tonight. 540, if you don't think Tom Holman means business, 543 criminal aliens, 7 gang members were busted tonight in Houston area, or last night, in ICE raids over the weekend. And I want you to listen to this. If you don't believe we had some evil folks in this country, out of these arrests, 140 criminal aliens that had been charged or convicted of an aggravated felony or other violent offense, such as homicide, aggravated assault, domestic violence. 34 criminal aliens charged or convicted of a sex offense or child sex offense, such as aggravated sexual assault of a minor, possession of child pornography, or rape. 38 of these aliens convicted of illegal firearms offenses, such as unlawful carrying of a firearm, alien in possession of a firearm, and aggravated assault. 52 criminal aliens charged or convicted of illicit narcotic offenses, such as drug trafficking or possession of a controlled substance. 51 criminal aliens charged or convicted of property crimes, such as burglary or theft. And 93 criminal aliens charged or convicted of driving while intoxicated. Lovely bunch. Just a lovely bunch of folks. Just a lovely bunch of folks. Anyway. What a lovely bunch. Let me say something about that as I can get my screen back. We're having technical issues here with the screen. Let me come back over here and I'm going to take your thoughts. When Van Jones was on CNN last night telling that lady, whoever it was, that the Democrat Party was screwed, let me tell you why they're screwed. They're the party that let these people in our country. They're the party that let these people in our country. That's just 543 of them, folks. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot to arrest in one city. I've been down to that border 3 times. I can tell you, there's more than 543 illegal aliens that have been in this country. My dear late friend, Tom Amos, he passed away a few years ago, and I never forget sitting down and talking to him one day at lunch about this. And Tom's show was dedicated to bringing awareness to this. He told me, he said, I believe there's at least 12 to 15 million illegal aliens in this country. He said, I hear these figures all over the place, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, 10 million. He said, I believe it's up to 15 million illegals that are here in the country. Have we gotten them all out? I don't think we've got them all out, but we've stopped the flow. That was number one. Tom Holman has done that. The flow is stopped. But the ones that are here, we coming for you. We coming for you. Folks, those offenses, that's insane. And that's why people in America have done. But let me just go back to Mr. Jones. Hey, Van, if you're listening tonight, just in case you're listening, you're not screwed because Kamala Harris ain't in power. You're not screwed because Hakeem Jeffries is not doing his job and stopping Trump as you think he should. Van, your party is screwed because you let these people into our country to kill, rape, maim, sodomize kids, traffic women, bring fentanyl into the country that kills people. Your party did that, Van. Your party. Now, the Republicans are not all innocent in this, but it was your president, Mr. Joe B., and Mr. Mayorkas, who's trying to rewrite history out there claiming that he was against sanctuary cities. Hogwash. No, he wasn't against nothing. He opened that border. He never did a thing. President Trump said it right a week ago tomorrow night when he said that the Biden administration claimed that they needed laws to stop the flow of illegal aliens across the border. And Trump basically said, no, you don't need any more laws. You just needed a different president. We got a different president tonight. This is going to stop. It's going to stop, amigos. If you're listening to me, it's going to stop. Because we're tired of the child rape. We're tired of the child trafficking. We're tired of the murders. We're tired of the assault. We're tired of the DUIs. I got a dear friend, Wendy Cochran, that lives here just down the road from me here in Knoxville. They lost her boy to a DUI driver. Chris Story, my dear friend in North Carolina, lost her brother to that. Dan Glovac, my dear friend, his son Spencer, sitting at a red light in Houston, of all places, where the story is set tonight. And an illegal alien drove up, pulled a gun out of his pocket, evidently. Just for no reason, just blew Spencer's head right off, right there in the middle of the daylight, and then killed another police officer that approached him. We're tired of that. So, band, to use your words, you know why you're screwed? Because we're sick of what your party was doing to this country. And if we got anything to do with it, it won't be a Democrat ever in power again. If we could fix it to where there would be no Democrats in power, we'd do it to a ballot box. I ain't promoting any violence or anything like that. But we would make sure that the Democrats wouldn't run the janitor at Motel 6. Because this is what you get when Democrats run the government. This is what you get when Democrats run the government. Alrighty. I think that would be pretty clear how I feel about that one. Rebecca, you say I don't understand hate for anyone anywhere. I don't think anybody does, Rebecca. Nobody on this program hates anybody, but they hate us. It's of the devil. It's demonic. Hate's in the heart. It's not about religion. People blame the religion. It's a heart issue. It's a spiritual issue. It's a spiritual issue. And it's blindness. It's spiritual blindness. RM, you say some say Muslims are not descendants of Abraham. They are descendants of nomadic Arabs. RM, not to sound terse, I'm not saying this directly at you, but in a way I am, and in a way I'm saying this to all that say that. Read your Bible. Read your Bible. Abraham had 2 boys. He had Ishmael. His mother was Hagar, who was an Egyptian. And God told Ishmael exactly what's happened, that his brothers and their hands would be on each other, that they would fight. It's predicted in Genesis 25. I don't have the verse in front of me, but I'll be more than happy to put it up. No, Ishmael is the head of the Arab race, and Esau, who was basically Isaac's son too, was Ishmael's grandson actually, the hatred, because there was no love lost between Isaac and Ishmael. Because Ishmael mocked Isaac, Sarah, the mother of Isaac, went to Abraham and said, kick the maid out. And God didn't tell him not to do it. He said, obey your wife. So Abraham kicked Hagar out into the wilderness. Now God blessed Ishmael. Arabs have got more oil than you can shake a stick at. And that's why it's so hideous that they can't take these Palestinian people in and give them a homeland that they so desire and want. If they want a homeland, the Arab world owns 5/6 of the Middle East. They got plenty of room. But they want that little sliver of land, which has never been about the land. Now, they want to destroy their brother. So yes, they are descendants of Abraham. So these people that are saying that, RM, they don't know the Bible. I'll leave it at that. Geraldine, you are very concerned about Palestinian protesters and infiltration that's coming to America. What do you think? Geraldine, President Trump took $400 million away from Colombia for allowing this stuff. I'm very concerned about it. I'm very concerned about the protesters, but I'm more concerned about the fact that the media is covering for them, and the media does not frame this in a way that the protesters are the ones at fault. They blame Israel. Look, there's something called moral clarity that is missing in our nation, in our land, in our society. Again, I know people out there, folks, that are spiritual voices, and I put that in big quotations. They're not voices. They're hirelings, and these people have no spiritual compass whatsoever. They can't even condemn the violence, but yet they'll go out and throw shade on Israel, and they'll claim such stuff that the Israel today is not the Israel of the Bible. Like, where did they get that from? The funny pages of the New York Times? What did they think? A new Israel's coming? That a new Israel's going to pop out of heaven like pixie dust? That God's going to sprinkle pixie dust and, oh, we got a new Israel. I've got a word for it, but I don't want to get in trouble. I'm trying to turn over a new leaf and not use words like stupid and moron. So I won't use those words. But I will say this. There's no new Israel coming, folks. The Israel of today is the Israel of the Bible. It's reformed. It was reformed as a nation. And they have been fighting for their life. They've been fighting for their security ever since. No different than the Israel of old fought for theirs. If y'all are with us in our morning Bible study, we've been talking about this for the last 2.5 years. Israel's always fought for it. And folks, when you get down to it, that's what this holiday is about coming up Thursday night into Friday, Purim. It was when Israel was fighting off somebody that wanted to destroy her, called Haman. And that spirit of Haman exists, Geraldine, in these protesters. This is not about freeing Palestine. Half these kids that are carrying them signs, they couldn't tell you where Palestine is. They couldn't tell you where Israel is on a map. This is a spirit that they don't care about coexisting. When you hear things like Israel's an apartheid state, and Israel's oppressing the Palestinians, and Israel's discriminately killing the Palestinians, that's a lie from hell. That is a lie of the devil. The media carries the water of that, and many voices in the church carry it with them. The so-called church, I'll leave it at that. The swamp church, as Ricky called it tonight. So, I'm very concerned about it. But I'm more concerned of where the moral clarity is in its absence upon people that should have moral clarity about who's at fault here and who's not. Is Israel perfect? Of course not. But Israel didn't start October the 7th. Israel did not go and kidnap Gazan babies and put them in furnaces like the Hamas terrorists did. Israel didn't go rape Gazan women in front of their husbands and then slit their throats and kill the husband afterward. They didn't kidnap kids. You know, do you realize that a lot of these hostages, these 24 hostages, folks, that are coming back are babies? They still haven't released all the bodies of the dead. There is no telling how many of these hostages are dead. The people that have survived are just fortunate and blessed to have survived it. But many didn't survive it. The infiltration is here, Geraldine, but it's from within. It's from within. I'll amen myself on that one. I'll amen myself on that one. As we say. Roger says Qatar and other Middle East nations are sending hundreds of millions of dollars to our universities. They are. They are. They sure are. Roger, you say, do you think the influx of illegals is contributing to the rise of measles outbreaks? Roger, I don't. I don't. I don't believe that the illegals, they've been here. This just happened this week. I know. I don't. I think it's something else. I don't know what it is. And it's going to be one of RFK Jr.'s first challenges to deal with it. People are upset with him because he's talking about the vaccine. And folks, let me just say this about our view on the vaccine. You know, it's it's just like everything else. You want to take the vaccine, knock yourself out. If you don't want to take the vaccine, don't knock yourself out. But don't be judging other people for what their choices are. That's their choice. I mean, you know, Ricky was sort of talking about it tonight, how that Trump can't do a thing right in some people's eyes. RFK ain't going to be able to do nothing right in some people's eyes. If you don't want to give your kid the vaccine, then don't give him the vaccine. But if the kid gets measles or gets a disease because you didn't vaccine him up, don't complain. And if you don't give them a vaccine and somebody is trying to convince you to try to give it to them and you don't want to, don't let them. It's your choice. Your choice. But stand by that choice. And whatever the consequence is, don't blame something on something else. It's your call how you handle this. Look, we've had Dr. Smith on here. We're going to have him on again soon because I really want to get his opinion about RFK and what he's doing. And Dr. Smith, actually, it came out today that RFK has admitted that the vaccine's called autism in the kids, and he's looking into why that's so. And Dr. Smith, that's been his campaign. From the day I met Dr. Stephen Smith, he has been screaming that from the top of his lungs that these vaccines of old, the ones we took as kids, many of the autism cases have been tied to that. But it's a choice. We're a free country. It's what drove me crazy with the COVID vaccine. I didn't care. People want to take that COVID vaccine, knock yourself out. I wasn't going to take it. And that's my point. For those that don't want to take it, you folks that do take it, don't be judging us that don't. And claiming that we're walking around killing society because we don't want to take your jab. No, we're not. We just don't want to take the vaccine. It's our call. Roger, to answer your question, no, I don't believe the illegals are. I may be proven wrong by that, but I don't. My gut tells me it's not them. Not them. Now, what it is, I don't know, but I don't think it's them. Angela, you said I think the vaccine was a test to see how many they could get to take it. Makes me think about the mark of the beast. Angela, it's not the mark of the beast. But I do believe that it was a test run. It was a test run to see how they can push us. But you got to realize we got a different administration over us tonight. That was during the Biden years. And there was a motive. There was an agenda. But we got a different government over us tonight. But the issue is that if this happens again, it's going to be interesting to see how the country responds. I think the country has wised up to what happened. We've wised up that Fauci was lying, that the media was lying, that the Biden administration was lying, that the woohoo or whoever it was, the WIO, WHO was lying. The NIH lady, Deborah Brax or whatever, was lying. They were all lying. The vaccine didn't protect you from COVID. Us putting stupid masks on in the middle of summer, causing people not to breathe, didn't protect us from COVID. Us being 6 feet apart didn't protect you from COVID. And all this has been proven false. Stuff that we conservatives were screaming back in 2021 that we knew it was false. Now, the one thing I disagree with Dr. Smith on, he claimed that the COVID virus wasn't anything new, and I disagree with that. I got COVID in 21, and I can tell you it was unlike any sickness I'd ever had in my lifetime. And I like to die from it. It's the worst 6 weeks I'd ever went through in my life, physically. I'm telling you, it was a couple of nights I literally could not breathe, and I had never been that sick. And I know some people they called it the good kind of COVID, the easy kind. I didn't get the easy kind. I got the bad kind. Now, I haven't not had it since. There's been people that've had it 3 or 4 times. Thank God that's not been my road. But I will tell you, there was a virus. There was something going on in this country. But how they handled it was criminal. And your point is well taken. It's not the mark of the beast. We had people claiming it was the mark of the beast. It's not the mark of the beast. It's not the mark of the beast. But anyway. Karen says, stop watching the fake news. Karen, the news itself, it's not just the fake news. It's TikTok, YouTube, all these channels, and all these people that just want to be relevant and putting all this crap out there. There's a lot of that going on. I'm with you on that, though. Wayne, please, not in the chat. Geraldine, let's see. Rebecca says we've been lied to for so long. I'm surprised that the libs don't get it. Rebecca, they're never going to get it. They're never going to get it. They're never going to get it. The thing is that the people that the libs that don't get it are the people that wanted to perpetrate the lie. They're the source of it. That's why they don't get it. They just hope you and I don't get it. But we get it. We've always gotten it. And we were basically censored and our channels taken down, our platforms removed. There were people fined. There were people that lost their jobs. There were people that were ostracized. And some of you still to this day, I guarantee you, some of your family still don't have Thanksgiving dinner with you because of the rift that it caused back then. And I know some families personally. It got ugly. It got ugly. I mean, they didn't want, if you was not vaxxed and you didn't wear a mask, well, you just ain't coming to have turkey dinner with us. And the people that didn't take the vaccine wouldn't let their relatives come that was vaccinated. And that's exactly what they wanted. That's exactly what they wanted. They wanted us to be divided, and they got their wish, because that's exactly what this country went through for almost 2 years. That's exactly what that's what they got. That's what they got. And Rebecca, my symptoms, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about that publicly. Geraldine says, what do you think of China, Russia, and Iran joint naval drills? Geraldine, I don't like it, but I think that it's the state of affairs right now, and I think that this is going to be a challenge for President Trump, that he's going to have to show some leadership. And look, tomorrow's a big day for this Ukraine situation. Rubio is meeting with the Ukraine delegation, and this could be a make or break thing for this Ukraine-Russia war. It's not good, Geraldine, when our enemies are doing naval drills together. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I don't like it, but a lot of that goes back to the lack of leadership we had in this country for 4 years. And look, folks, please remember this tonight. You realize tonight's 50 days in. We're just 50 days into the Trump presidency. And again, I think, Leslie, for the time we did have her, she was right about this. There are many Republican voices and a lot of conservatives that they think Trump should have parted the Red Sea by now. They think prices should have come down, that the oil situation was fixed, that the Ukraine-Russia war would have been ended, the border completely fixed. Look, Trump has done an amazing job, folks, for 50 days. The stuff he's gotten done, at the speed he's got done, is amazing. But I can tell you, he's not got everything fixed, and he's not going to have everything fixed. Even 50 days from now, his first 100 days, he's not going to have every single thing fixed. And I think it was Darlene that said, give them patience. I don't have no problem giving them patience. My issue with Bondi wasn't about giving her patience. My issue with Bondi was she was overselling something, and she'd have been better off not to go on Sean Hannity. And I love Hannity, but Hannity wants to get these gotcha questions, and not in a bad way, but he does it to get a headline. Pam Bondi is about to unleash hell with the Epstein list. Pam Bondi should have known better than, if she did not have any intention of doing a fully unredacted Epstein list, just hush until you're ready to release it. It's nobody's business. It's nobody's business when she releases it. She's the Attorney General, but don't oversell it. Don't oversell it. But Trump ain't going to park the Red Sea right now, folks. Just be patient. I'll use Darlene's word. Be patient. Be patient. Be patient. Be patient. Anyway, Jennifer says it feels like 50 days of Christmas. I'll agree with that, Jennifer. I'll agree with that. It does feel like 50 days of Christmas. And Angela, I'm sorry to hear about your father-in-law, and there were some people that took it that didn't die. And I'm sorry to hear about your father-in-law. But there were other people that took the vaccine and they had no bad things. There were some that did. There were many that did. But again, it was their choice. It was their choice. And you can't judge people for their choices because we're free. Unless you want to live in communist Russia or communist China where they put a gun to your head and say, take it or die. We're in America. And that's what bothered me about it is I wasn't here to argue the merits of the vaccine. It was evident there was something wrong with it, but I was going to fight for the right for those that wanted to take it. It's America. We're free. What bothered me was they did not allow us that didn't want to take it to be free. And it wasn't just America. It was worldwide. Our dear friend, our dear sweet friend, Cleo Cleotis, down under tonight, who's still, hopefully, doing okay in the path of that storm. The storm's gone, but they've had a tropical storm. She can tell you firsthand, Australia was doing the same thing. People lost jobs over this. People lost family over this. We're free. We're free. I'm sorry for the death. I'm sorry that people had bad reaction to it, but they chose that path. My issue was they didn't allow us that didn't want to take it that same freedom. That's my issue with it. It's always been my issue with it. My dad took it. I had other loved ones that took it. I didn't stop fellowshipping with them because they took it. I still loved them. And my dad died too, but it wasn't from the jab. It was from other issues. I have had other people that I know that they've had physical problems since, but I know some other people that have taken that shot and they've not had one bad thing go on in their body. Not one. Not one. So to throw a blanket and say everybody that took the jab is going to die, that's unfair. That is unfair. And it's wrong. And that's, Elaine, your comment about dividing and conquering and destroying, that's what they wanted this thing to do, and it did it. It did it. It did it. But anyway, Angela, again, I'm sorry for your father-in-law. I'm sorry for your father-in-law. Roger says, I believe it's totally unrealistic to believe Trump can solve the nation's problems in 100 days. He can't. He can't. But I will say this, Roger, about it. He will get more done in 100 days than Joe Biden got done in 4 years. And I will say that more than even Trump got done in 4 years his first time because he was so strapped down. Trump ain't letting no grass grow under his feet. He knows the timetable he's under. He's got 4 years to get this done. And he ain't going to let any grass grow under his feet. We got 5 minutes. We're about done. We're right at an hour. So I'm with you on that. But I do believe there's going to be some good stuff coming in these next 50 days. I just hope, my gut feeling is that the media is beginning to get under the skin of some of the American people, and they're getting impatient, and they're expecting Trump to part the Red Sea, and these media attacks and these little jabs and these little smart aleck comments from conservatives and from Republicans, and we're just an impatient society. We're just an impatient society. I hope we'll have patience. I do. And I'm agreeing with you on that, buddy. It's good to see you tonight, man. It's good to see you tonight. Ricky, I think that is a good point. I was appalled by the spirit of fear too among born-again Christians. Ricky, I agree with that totally. I agree with that. There was a lot of fear being stoked within the church itself over this. I would totally agree. Totally agree. There's fear being stoked tonight. I mean, you got people out there claiming Trump is 666. And Elon Musk is 6666. I mean, man, we can't even enjoy prosperity. If you don't believe that we're blessed, ask Canada how blessed we are to have a leader. Talked to Laura Hunter today. And I asked her about Carney, the new TM. And she was honest and asked her, I said, how do you feel about Trump? And I'm not going to get into the private conversation we had about it, but I appreciated her honesty. But she said that Pierre, the guy that is sitting in the wings, a conservative, he is Canada's hope right now to have a Trump over them. They would die for Donald Trump to be running their country. They don't want to be our 51st state. And I jokingly told Laura, I said, we got enough problems with 50 states already. I doubt very seriously Trump wants another state to have to deal with the problems that he has to deal with the 50 he's got already. I wouldn't want it. And it's nothing against you Canadians. We love you. We really do. I got this before y'all beat us in hockey, but I thought I'd wear it tonight. As a reminder that what could have been in hockey this year. But anyway, that's just a little joke. But we love our country. And Canadians, you need to love yours. And I know you do. And we're proud of you all. And look, you're our neighbors to the north. They need a Trump. We got a Trump. We got things going on that's good, and you still got people out there scared to death. They think that he's the freaking Antichrist. And I'm not talking about, people call Chris the Antichrist all the time, but that's just a figure of speech. No, these people think Trump is the man of sin. And Elon Musk is right behind him. So it's not stopped, Ricky. Sadly. Mary Cleveland says, world citizens were lab rats for the vax. Mary, again, I agree, but I disagree. Let me tell you this. People that took it by choice. They took it by choice. So if they were lab rats, they chose to be that. And yes, there was people that were extorted to do it. And I'm not trying, folks, I don't want to get into, we're discussing something that's 4 years old. And the fact of the matter is, regardless of what happened then, I can guarantee you tonight, folks, with Donald Trump in office, it's not going to happen now. So if you want to make it out, and I don't want to argue about the vax. I think I've made my point. But if you want to feel like the world was lab rats, then okay, they were lab rats, but they chose to be that. I didn't choose to be that. I chose not to be. I ain't taking a vaccine. I ain't taking a flu shot since I've been living. Don't plan to. But it's my choice. If you want to go take, and I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to the world at large. If you want to take a flu shot, take it. If you want to take the vax, take it. There's people that's been vaxxed 7 times. What I'm saying is that we found out later, they finally admitted what we all knew. It was a bunch of malarkey. We knew it. We knew it. That was my issue with it. That was my issue with it. Juva 35, you say we've made it through the last 4 years. We will continue through the next 4. Have faith. I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that, Juva. We survived Biden. We'll definitely survive Trump. And we don't have to survive Trump. We got a godly man in office tonight, folks. He's doing his best to rule this country righteously. Notice I said godly. I didn't say perfect. We've never had a perfect president from George Washington to George Trump, and we will never, or Donald Trump, and we never will have a perfect president. When the righteous rule over the nation, the righteous rejoice. When the wicked rule over the nation, the righteous mourn. But as I told you before, folks, a righteous president trying to rule right is going to have rebellion in his nation by the wicked, in the sense of people that don't want him to rule righteously. And we've got that. We see that happening tonight. We see that happening. All right. I keep going, and I got to get out of here. Bear, your comment is right. COVID caused a tremendous wound in our nation. It really did. It really did. All righty. Carol Smith says the mess we're in didn't happen overnight. It's going to take time to undo it. I'll agree with that, Carol. That's a good statement. Good to see you, dear. Good to see you. Thank you for listening today. Carol was one of our K-Star listeners. K-Star Radio tomorrow, 2 o'clock to 3. Now, we'll be here in the morning on our face side. All you folks that here tonight, all talkative, come on over to the Bible study in the morning on our Faith Network. We'll start around 10 o'clock. K-Star at 2, and then we'll be back here tomorrow night. We're going to get Leslie back on. We got Eric Kieran coming on tomorrow night, too. So, Leslie and Eric. And you. And the Mac Man. Somebody named Christopher McDonald.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Elementary, my dear Watson. I'm going to let you go now. It's 11 o'clock. Did you get something out of the show tonight? Put some fire in that house. We're grateful for you, folks. People still talking about that vaccine. Folks, forget about the vaccine. We got more important things going on, folks. Please. I love y'all. Forget it. It's done. We got Christians getting their heads cut off in Syria tonight. I think that's more of a pressing matter that we need to be worried about and concerned about. Just a thought. Just a thought. Just a thought. Just a thought.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Elementary, my dear Watson. I'll see you tomorrow night. See you in the morning for those faith students, Bible students. And you'll hear me tomorrow afternoon. K-Star Radio, 2 to 3, kstarmedia.com. You can click the watch button and listen button, and you'll be right there. Come on and join us over there. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see you. Prophetic week. My goodness, a prophetic week is ahead. A prophetic week is ahead. Hold the fort, and keep the faith.